Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech, and in this video, we'll be taking a look at Rainbow Miner once again, focusing on how to overclock within it. Rainbow Miner, it's an all-in-one type miner that you can use to manage or configure your mining rigs, and we did an overview in a previous video. But just today, we're going to be focusing on the overclocking aspect of Rainbow Miner. So let's get started. Now, first things first, you need to identify which way you want to go, because you got two options. Either you can set up custom profiles within Rainbow Miner itself. The OC profiles are inside the actual configuration file. I'll show you that here in just a moment. Or are you going to use your MSI Afterburner profiles? Now, oddly enough, even though on this page it says that AMD devices are not supported in the OC profiles, what I'll show you here in a little bit is I am able to talk to my 7900 XTX through the OC profile, despite it saying or recommending that we use only MSI Afterburner. And that is right here. You can see works with AMD, yes for MSIA profiles, no for OC profiles. But if we go to the dashboard, my profiles will actually load. And the step to initiate or to enable OC profiles, there's two ways to do it. Either in the config file of your miner or through the dashboard. So once you have gone through the actual setup process, which I talked about again in a previous video, which I'll have linked down below, you can log in to your dashboard, come down here to setup, and enable overclocking will be disabled by default. You have to enable it unless you chose to enable it off rip during the setup process. So that's one way to enable it. The other way is to go to the actual config file on the machine. So you want to go to wherever you have your Rainbow Miner extracted, right? If you extract it to your downloads and you've been operating out of your downloads, just go there. I strongly recommend moving it to a different directory instead of your downloads. But go to that main folder, look for the config folder and open it up right here. And then inside this area, we can adjust the OC profiles and we can adjust the config. To enable the overclocking and the voltage monitor or overclocks, we got to edit the config file. Edit in Notepad or edit in Notepad++. I like Notepad++ because it makes life a lot easier. So right now we need to go and find OC profiles. So we're going to type in Control F first to bring up this window, OC profiles. And you're going to see that it has the number 1, which means it's enabled. 0 means it's not enabled. So OC profiles is enabled, as well as enable OC voltages. And if you want to use this, turn it on with the number 1. If you don't and you want to use MSI, these need to be zeros. Just FYI, these need to be zeros. So this OC profile is disabled by default, and so is the MSI overclocking or those profiles disabled by default. Now that we're switching from OC profiles to MSI, we need to go make sure that the MSI profile is set correctly. So first off, we got to make sure and identify the correct path. And that is the path for MSI Afterburner right here. MSI path, C, program files, MSI Afterburner, MSI Afterburner.exe. If you have it on a different drive or installed on a different drive, just go to wherever it's located and make sure you update the folder that particular program or that Afterburner is in, period. And once you get there, you can just click up here and see it. And you'll notice that these only have one line, C:/ program files, yada, yada, yada. This in this notepad has 2. Do not remove the extra slash. Just leave it there. If you have to, change the drive letter to D, E, F, whatever you got it. But that should be the default that it goes to unless you installed on a different drive. Now we need to tell the program or Rainbow Miner what default profile we want to set up. And inside MS Afterburner, I actually set up a couple, right? Because this is a mixed rig. We got an AMD 7900 XTX and an NVIDIA 3070 Ti. So what I did is I focused on 2 things. Just starting off, not intensive whatsoever. So 3070 Ti, profile 1, and on both sides, AMD and NVIDIA, is just default. So if I hit 1, it's just default everything, right? Default power limit, default clocks, memory on it. Not really efficient, but it's just default. Option 2 is my more core-intensive workloads or core-intensive algorithms. So you can see the 3070 Ti, turn on the MEM, boosted up the core clock, and on the 7900 XTX, kind of the same thing. If I go to 2, boom, there it is. Now I did unsynchronize these, right? Because I wanted to just choose the profile And because these GPUs aren't the same, and it says synchronize settings for similar graphics processors, which these clearly are not, I disabled it by clicking this icon, and then I just set up each profile. 2 for core intensive, and then when I go to 5, it's more memory intensive on a 7900 XTX, and then when I go to the 3070 Ti, same thing, more memory intensive workloads. So all my profiles that I want are set up in MSI Afterburner already, but I don't want to leave it open when I'm using OC profiles right now during this testing. It's going to be one or the other, not both. Now, as I mentioned, it seems in the documentation that MSI Afterburner is the way to go for your AMD GPUs, while OC profiles are the way to go for your NVIDIA GPUs. But again, I have been able to see my profiles take effect in Rainbow Miner. If I go right now to my OC profiles, you can see that the actual clocks and settings that I put in here for the 7900 XTX, again, I put 4 profiles. The rest I left blank for each GPU, and they're all set here. And so the benchmark goes through each profile, testing each algorithm, and then it will find whatever's the best one and then apply that for whatever the algorithm is. It's going to go through the actual benchmark process by itself. But you got to choose whether you're going to want to use MSI Afterburner or if you're going to use OC profiles. You just got to make sure that if you change the path, the default path that MSI Afterburner gets installed in, that you tell it where it is, and then you just enable or disable. Remember, 0 off, 1 is on. So now that config is done, we need to go manage the OC profiles. If we don't do it physically within MSI Afterburner, you're going to want to go down to OC profiles, right-click, edit, again, Notepad or Notepad++, whichever is your favorite. And you will see here that I set a power limit for the 3070 Ti. I set a core clock, locked core clock, and locked mem clock for both of these. And then on the AMD, same thing, right? So profile 1, AMD card, profile 1, NVIDIA card. And I went down each one. Core intensive, mem intensive, maybe a mix. Maybe because it's dual mining, because this program does do dual mining. Maybe I need to have a profile that does a mix of both. And you can actually see some of the intricacies of this program under, for example, algorithms. And you can see under each algorithm, there's all kinds of stuff. Like right here, OC profile. We can specifically say, hey, for this algorithm, or this algorithm, I want to use, this OC profile, or I want to use this MSI profile. And you can see MSI profile is 0. There is no 0 in MSI. It's either 1 through 5. That's it. But you can set per algo, which is going to take you a long time because there's all kinds of them here. You can see how long I'm scrolling for. But I can set per algo what profile, overclock profile, or MSI profile I want to use. Additionally, I believe under the devices section, we can do the exact same thing. You can see the default profile here for the 3070 Ti is profile 4. The default profile for the 7900 XTX is profile 1. And you would let it do its thing. Benchmark is going to test and adjust, and you just got to make your changes accordingly. And if you don't know what overclocks you need to be rocking, hashrate.no is a good website. I do a lot of data dumps on Reddit for various GPUs, but that's when they first come out and things do update, things do change, miners get improved. So whatever overclocks you've been using or that you've tested and identified what the best are for your setup, your system, your environmental and thermal conditions, just use that and just manage that through the actual Rainbow Miner profile as you see fit. So either OC profiles or through MSI Afterburner, just make sure you enable it. And that's going to be it, kind of in a nutshell, for overclocking inside of Rainbow Miner. It's a little bit more complicated. There's a lot of fine tuning and different things and variables you can play with, but just know that it's disabled. MSI and OC profiles are both disabled by default for profit switching. You got to check the path for MSI Afterburner, and then you got to set which profile you want as the default under MSA profile inside that config, which I don't believe I showed you, but let's just make sure. I believe I showed you. I did show you. MSI A profile. It was right above the path. Yep. So 0. We're going to choose 1 through 5, one of the options, not all. And that would always be the default profile it's going to load when it starts to mine or hash on a particular program. Not a straight up GUI, even though it does have a graphic user interface like the dashboard. not a straight up GUI. A lot of the fine tuning is going to be done through commands or config files .txt. So it does take a little bit of getting used to, where we know like Awesome Miner, NiceHash, and a number of others, Hivon, you know, they make it very easy. Rainbow Miner just has all the miners dumped into one, and there's a lot of customization, configuration, and adjustment that you can do as the end user. So let me know your thoughts about Rainbow Miner. Are you using it? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Let me know down in the comments below. But that's going to do it for today's video. Do me a favor on the way out. Hit the like button. Make sure to get subscribed. Hit the notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out some additional links in the description to help support the channel and what we do here. I greatly appreciate it. And you just have yourself a wonderful day. Take care. I'll catch you next one.